Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial here on IT.tutorials. I am Josef Bodnar. In this tutorial I'm going to talk about defining classes in C++. A class is a collection of data. Actually, a class groups a collection of data. This collection of data can be variables, functions, methods. These, I mean the variables, the functions, and the methods, are called the members of the class. We can access the member of the classes, namely the variables, the functions, and the methods, creating objects. Any class should have a name. We are going to use the name of the class to create an object. And also we have to give a name for the objects. And the objects are able to access the member of the classes. If I do a similarity with reality, a house could be a class. A house has different. A house can have a name, yeah, like a class, and a house is grouping a few rooms. So the house is divided in rooms. You have a room for children, you have another room for adults or parents, you have a living room, a bathroom, and so on. So all these rooms are the objects. The rooms usually have door in order to access the inside of the room, like wardrobes, cupboards, the clothes, and so on. In object-oriented programming, we are using the objects to access the member of the classes, and we are going to use the dot in order to access the member of the classes, exactly like in the house we have a door to access the inside of the rooms. So the programmers discovered this method to code using the object-oriented programming to use the classes in order to make the applications more readable, better organized, better structured, and to be more efficient, because different programmers can work on different classes. In this way, a project, an application can be done in a shorter period, in a shorter time than when you are using the procedural programming, like the old C. So anyway, this was the idea when the programmers discovered this way to program, to use the classes, to use the object-oriented programming, is to make an application to be done more efficient, to be more organized. So we are able to divide an application in small pieces called classes. So let's make a hands-on example. This way you will understand better how the classes work in C++. In order to do so, I'm going to create an application in C++ from scratch. So click on Create New Project. Up here you select C++, Windows, or another platform on which you work. And here console in order to filter the selection, and select console up and click on next. And here give a name for your application. I'm going to name it defining classes. Yeah, here is the location of the project. You can change the location of the project. You can place your project in another location. Click on this button and find another location for your project. Click on Create button, and the Visual Studio will start to create your console app project. Here you go. Here is our project. I'm going to remove these comments. I don't need them. Okay, and I'm going to remove this statement also because I don't need this statement. Here, up here, after this directive, your stream, I'm going to write using namespace std. And in order to create a class, you have to use this keyword class followed by the name of the class. In my case, employee data. Yeah, and the name is followed by curly brackets. Here you go. As you can see, by default, Visual Studio add this semicolon to the end of these curly brackets. Yeah, here, as you can see. So be careful if you don't have this semicolon to the end of this curly brackets, to the end of the body of this class, you just add this semicolon. Otherwise, you will receive errors. Okay, so let's put down this curly bracket. Now, inside the class, we are going to define the members of the class. So I'm going to declare a few variables, and I'm going to use this public accessor. And after the accessor, I'm going to use this colon. Yeah, and after enter, and I'm going to declare the variables which has this accessor public. Yeah, so I'm going to use this integer variable named age semicolon and a string variable called name and semicolon. So again, this public keyword is a accessor. It should be followed by this colon, and after you declare the member of the classes, in my case these two variables, an integer variable called age and another variable, a string variable called name. Yeah, this accessor can be private, but that means these two variables cannot be accessed outside of this class if I'm going to use here private. Yeah, because I want to use these two members here inside the main method, I'm going to use this public accessor. Yeah, so I'm not gonna I don't want to complicate too much this up, so I'm going to use only variables. I'm not going to use functions in this example. I try to make this example very simple. All right, so in order to create an object, we have to use the name of the class employee data. As you can see, already the name of the class appear in this list in IntelliSense. Yeah, and we can select it, and we just write the name of the object, in my case employee. And now this employee is the object. We created an object using the name of the class. At the same time, a class is a type. Yeah, so the object is using the type of the class. All this statement is called instance. We create an instance when we create an object. This all this statement is called instantiation. Anyway, these are conventional expression, instance, instantiation. All these expressions are conventional and was named by specialists, by programmers. What you have to bear in your mind is that you create an object using the name of the class. Yeah, and you just give a name for your object. Now, in order to access the member of employee data class, you are going to use the object which was created before on line 18, and the object can access the member of the classes using the dot. So I type this dot, and as you can see appeared in IntelliSense the list of the members which this object employee can access. In my case, age and name. It is about these two variables. Yeah, and I'm going to use the integer Yeah, I'm gonna to access the integer variable, this variable age. Yeah, and I can assign a value to this, be it 25, for example. Yeah, and now in order to give a meaning to this application, I'm going to use this cout, and here I'm going to write a text like Joseph Botnar is colon, and here I'm going to use the employee object, which is accessing this integer variable age, and here another text, years old. And line, semicolon. Yeah, let's release this application. Let's see the result of this application. Here you go. This is the result of this application. Josef Botnar is 25 years old. Yeah. So as you can see on line 19, we assign to this object which is accessing this variable age 25, and here we are using this object and the member which is accessing this variable integer variable age. Yeah, that's why we have here this number 25. Yeah, so in order to understand how an application works in C++, you can use the breakpoints. So you just set here a breakpoint, click on this bar on the left side as I'm doing. Yeah, click with the left side of the mouse and go on debug, click on step into. Yeah, after you clicked on step into, all these appear here up here as you can see in the menu, and click on step into. As you can see now here we have a yellow arrow on line 19. You go in locals down here and you are able to see the employee object. Click on the arrow here and you can see how this object is accessing these two members of employee data class, namely this integer variable age and name. You can see them also here. This don't be bothered about this number. This is a garbage which will be removed by C++ compiler. Yeah, and here you can see the string variable called a name, and here is the arrow. Yeah, and you can see the size is 0 now because we didn't access this variable. We didn't use an object to access this variable. Actually, we are accessing only the age integer variable on this line 19, as you can see. So let's click on step into. Now you can see how here in locals this variable was assigned by this value 25 because this yellow arrow passed this code line 19, and now is in front of this code line 21, where is this cout object, yeah, which will display in console all this statement, these two text and the object with this variable age. Yeah. Now again step into, and here you go. So in this way you will understand very well how the object can access the member of the classes, how the class actually works. We can declare more than one object which are using the same class. Yeah, so let's create another object here, or make another instance which will create an object employee 01, for example. So this is employee data here. Yeah, so actually this employee 01 is another object. Yeah, these two, employee and employee 01, are two different objects. They don't have anything to do with each other except the fact, a part of the fact that they are using the same class, employee data, the same type of the class, employee data. Now I'm going to use another object, employee 01, to access the same integer variable age. Yeah, and I'm going to assign it with this value, for example 45. Yeah, all right. Now I'm going to copy this code of line. Yeah, and I'm going to paste it here. Let's change the name, the first name, Carmen. Yeah, and here I'm going to add 01. And let's save, and let's list the result of this up in a console. Let's see what we get. Here you go. As you can see, we get different values here. I've got Josef Bodnar is 25 years old, and the next one, Carmen Bodnar, is 45 years old. Yeah, because I'm using two different objects. Employee is one object, employee 01 is another object. And these two objects are located in different memory spaces. And that's why we are able to use different objects to access the same member of the class, and we are able to assign to them different values. So actually on this line 24, the employee object is accessing this variable age, which on line 21 has this value 25, and this object employee 01, which is accessing the same integer variable age, has this value 45 assigned here on this code line 22. That's why we have different values, 25 and 45. Again, so we can declare more than one object which are using the same class, the same class, the same type class, and the different objects can access the same member of a class, as you have seen before. Also, here you can use the breakpoints to understand better how this works. Go on, step into. Here you go, step into. Now, step into, and here now we have these two objects, employee, which can access these two members, age and name, and the same thing can do this another object, employee 01, which can access another two, the same can access the same two members, age and name, as you can see, exactly like the another object, employee. Yeah, all right. Now click. As you can see, now the yellow arrow is in front of 22. So here this object is assigned this variable age with 25, because the yellow arrow passed this code line 21, where this object which is accessing this integer variable age was assigned by 25, as you can see. If I go to another object here, now these two variables doesn't have any value. Actually, this is a garbage here, and here we don't have anything for this name variable, as you can see, because this variable is not accessed by these two objects actually. Yeah, and as you can see, the yellow arrow is in front of 22. Now click on step into. This yellow arrow past 22, and here you can see another object now which is accessing this age integer variable is assigned with this value 45. Yeah, okay, so in this way works this application. We can remove this text from here because we have this string variable name. Yeah, so we can access that member of the employee data class using the same objects, employee name, and here I'm gonna to use this text. Actually, I'm going to copy it and paste it in here. Okay, semicolon, and here employee 01 dot name, and here I'm going to use this text. Yeah, okay, I'm going to paste it here, semicolon. Now I'm going to change this part with this object employee dot, which is accessing this name variable of this class employee data, and here I'm going to use another object employee 01, which is accessing the same variable name. Okay, here you go. Let's print in console the app. Here you go. This is the result. Actually, we have the same result, but this time we are accessing this string variable, which is the member of this class employee data, using these two objects, employee and employee 01. Yeah, the result is the same, but the method used is different. Also, if you want to understand here how the things are working, you just set a breakpoint, go on debug, step into. Now here you can see these two objects, how they are accessing the member of the class of this class employee data, namely age and name. Yeah. Here we have now assigned 25 for this variable age, which is accessed by this employee object. Click. Now we passed 22, and here this variable, the same variable age, is assigned with 45, which is accessed by another object employee 01. Click on step into. Here, now this string variable name is assigned by this text Joseph Bodnar is, yeah, because the yellow arrow passed this code line 23, yeah. Now here the another object which is accessing the same string variable name is assigned with this text Carmen Bodnar is, because the yellow arrow passed this line 24. So in this way is working this application. So in order to create a class, you have to use the keyword class followed by the name of the class. The class has a certain number of members, which could be variables, functions, and methods. We are using accessors, as you have seen, to access the member. Usually we have here private and not public. Why we have private? We have private in order to secure our code, in order not to be able to access these variables from outside of this class employee data. But if I use here private, as you can see, I receive errors. If I hover here on this age integer variable, you can see here is written member employee data age is inaccessible. So now we are not able anymore to access the age variable because I use this accessor private. In order to use the private accessor for the variables, I have to use a function which is going to be public. Usually we are going to use the mutator, which has a setter function which will set a value for the variables, and a getter functions which will return a value of assigned to these variables. But this is going to be the goal of another tutorial. I don't want to complicate too much this tutorial, as I told you before, so I'm going to change the accessor here to public, and now as you can see the errors disappear. These objects are able to access these two members of employee data class, namely age and name. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. Hopefully you understand my tutorial, my explanations regard to the classes, creating objects, how the objects are able to access the members of a class, And I'm waiting for you to watch my other video tutorials. See you next time. Bye bye.